Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. Very late with today's video, so we're just going to have a quick look at the weather for the end of the week and into the weekend. The suggestions that it's going to get warmer and thundery. I think we will get a warmer push Thursday into Friday. Could produce some thunderstorms on Friday, but I don't think it's going to be an extended spell of very warm or hot weather. So it's just like a one-day wonder, really meant breaking down, excuse me, into thunderstorms. Going to start off with Central England temperature for May. That's in now from Hadley at UK Met. So have a look at that in a second. But before I get on that, just say about the access links to articles on all the pages at outsurface.com. Have a browse through widgets. Any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go for read those articles. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also videos to those pages. Say open up in the content and you should watch them and close back up again. Thanks very much for doing that. So here we go with Central England temperature for May. It's no longer official. This is what it is going to be. 10.8, and that is a colder than average month. So it had a first below average Central England temperature for a monthly period since August 2014. It's been quite a long time coming, but there we go. We've come in cooler than average. Although you don't have to go back very far to find a year that had a cooler May. Actually, 2013 came in at 10.4, so that was cooler than this year, as was 2010 coming in at 10.7. So that fairly cool Mays actually over the past few years. And this is no one to add to that. So, yeah, have had our equivalent average. This isn't very good for GavsOverBeats.com. May forecast. We'll be evaluating that tomorrow when we do the June forecast. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. Just show that the warm spell, the hot spell that was due or is due at the end of the week has been well, it's not been downgraded as such, but it's certainly been shortened in its length. You can see that the dates on the bottom here showing around the 6th of June, which is just there. We are going significantly warmer than average, so we're going to go up to around 15 Celsius, 850 HPA. That will probably be warmer to lift temperatures into the 80s Fahrenheit down in the south just for one day on Friday, but then notice this very quick drop in the temperatures as we go through the weekend and into the start of next week. It turns significantly cooler. The red line here, of course, is the 30-year temperature average, and it does turn significantly cooler very quickly as we go into the weekend. So it certainly isn't going to be an extended spell of hot weather unless this is sort of upgraded in terms of the length. A one-day wonder, and then going back into cooler type conditions. There will be some rainfall coming up with this drop in the temperatures where you see precipitation spikes just here. They aren't tremendously high precipitation spikes, so maybe not too much in the way of thunder. This is for London. Perhaps the risk is going to be further north. That's a long way off, and of course as we get later on into the week and we start to get this into the high resolution time frame, I will begin to update the storm watch page, because I think there will be some thunderstorms associated with this drop in the temperature on Friday. But because the heat isn't really being established for any length of time, those thunderstorms could be a little bit hit and miss. So here's what's going on. This is a generic chart from the GFS model for Thursday. We've got a high pressure here ridging across the country, so this settles it down from the very unsettled weather that we've got at the moment. We've got a really sort of autumnal type day across the country today with wet and windy weather and gales and heavy rain and all of that stuff coming in off the Atlantic today. So we eventually break out of that through the middle part of the week, and high pressure does take over at least for a day or two. And there we go, as we go to Friday, the high pressure goes to the east and we start to drag up these southerly southeast winds. It's these winds that are bringing these high temperatures out of France and push them northwards. But notice these areas of low pressure are already gathering out to the west. And as we go through the course of Friday, we find those areas of low pressure pushing in, or that area of low pressure pushing in with its associated weather fronts coming in off the Atlantic Ocean. The upper air temperatures will push up with this southerly flow. So here we are at 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday, bringing the 10 Celsius isotherm in across England and Wales. 15 Celsius isotherm is down to south of the country. That's hot air coming out of France. As we go through Friday, that very warm, if not hot air, does push northwards. So we've got the 15 Celsius isotherm down in the south-southeast. That could lift the temperature up to 28 degrees, 83 Fahrenheit, for instance, around London. But the cool air is already heading in towards Ireland, or the cooler air is already heading into Ireland. And the dividing line does produce the risk, and it's no more than that at this stage, of some heavy thunderstorms. So you can see on the precipitation chart here, we've got these blue colours through northern England down into Wales and Midlands in particular, not too much in the southeast at that stage. And those heavy storms could continue in towards Friday night, Saturday morning, so there is a risk there of some thundery conditions late Friday and Saturday. But the whole lot pushes northwards and eastwards as we go through into Saturday, the 6th of June itself. Here's the convective potential for the end of the week. We've got the risk of thunderstorms from the word go down in the southwest with those yellow colours first thing in the morning on Friday the 5th, and things just get more blown up, if you like, as we go through the course of Friday, with those vibrant colours appearing there across particularly England and Wales, indicating that we have got some high capes with high convective potential, and there will be risk of lightning and thunder being mixed in. The temperatures, this is suggesting we go up to around 26 or 27 in the south. You see it across France, we're widely up to 30 or 31. 31 is 88 Fahrenheit. I don't think we're going to get that sort of temperature here, because the cool air is going to cut it off before it can get in. But even so, we could see temperatures going a bit higher than this suggests. I won't rule out 28 degrees somewhere like London on Friday. That's 83 Fahrenheit. So beyond that, we take that system across the country, introduce cooler, fresher air as we go through into Saturday. This is chart 4, Saturday 6th of June, bringing that cooler air across the country. We get rid of the storms, probably first thing on Saturday morning. And then that cooler air pushes in with those westerly winds. And that sets us into a westerly flow then as we go through in the second half of the weekend. Quite a bit of ridging down in the south, so could be dry there, but there will be further showers up in the north where it's fairly windy. And then beyond that, the idea up today turns that high pressure just sort of sits around the country. So actually, it does turn quite settled, but because of the position of the high pressure sort of centred around and slightly to the west, it won't be a heat wave from that. The air is generally coming in off the Atlantic, but it is pleasant enough. We could, we'll get these storms out of the way, have a very pleasant spell of weather through next week in particular, with high pressure and not too high temperatures and fairly low humidity, so it could be very pleasant actually next week. The ECMWF shows that southerly wind coming in on Friday, bringing the hot air up from the south very briefly. But by the time we go through 24 hours on, you'll see that the temperatures are dropping as this area of low pressure moves in off the Atlantic, quickly cuts off that hot supply there. So there's the cooler, fresher air heading across the country, but transition could produce thunder, but we've got to wait until close to time to pin that down. And then beyond that, the high pressure, again, the idea is for the high pressure to sit to the west of the country, keeping it mostly dry, but the flow is a cooler flow, generally coming from a westerly or a northwesterly type direction. Day 10, 30th of the 11th of June, looks like this. High pressure is out of the Atlantic, bringing down this gentle northerly flow. So it's still lots of settled weather, but a little bit cooler. Finally, the GEM, here's the southeasterly wind as we go through into Friday, bringing that hot air up from the south. There's the low pressure cutting that hot air off by the time you get through 24 hours on into Saturday the 6th of June. So very, very brief push up in the temperatures. Then the high pressure takes over for time. But the idea is that by the time you get through to next week, more low pressure is sort of coming in off the Atlantic. I'm not sure about that, but it will be more unsettled anyway. And we end up on day 10, still rather unsettled actually from a GM with low pressure around the country. So that's significantly different compared to all the other models, or the other two models. GM is different. It often is much more unsettled, suggesting showers or longer spells of rain from Friday going through the weekend and into next week. So coming back to these storms and the higher temperatures at the end of the week, we are, I think, going to get this push up in the temperature on Friday. It's a brief affair, lasting probably no more than around 24 hours, but very briefly we could hit something like 83 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius around London. But there will be risk of storms coming in from the Atlantic through the course of the day. How widespread and severe those storms are, it's difficult to say at this stage because the heat isn't really being established over several days and the humidity isn't really getting a chance to build. We could be limited with the convective potential and the thundery potential. So we've got to wait and see on that until it comes into the time frame of the high resolution models. After that, it turns cooler, and maybe we could get an extended spell of dry and pleasant weather as we go through into next week. That's how it's looking. Very brief update today, so thanks for watching. And bye for now. Thanks.